Hello, everyone, again. Thank you so much for joining us. And today we are discussing L Ron Hubbard Jr., talking about how he and his father were trafficking cocaine and heroin to Colombia, you guys. So, shout out to ABC News and shout out to L Ron Hubbard's son, who did put it on the public record, pitched to ABC News that he and his father were trafficking cocaine and heroin in Colombia. Who knew that that was going on? In this interview, you guys, we're going to get straight into all the details.
By doing these exercises and being tested on a lie detector-like machine called the E-meter, they make sure you learn to follow exactly the teachings of Scientology's founder, L. Ron Hubbard.
So notice how it says exactly follow the teachings. So for anybody who wants to say, oh, maybe nobody followed them exactly, they followed them exactly to the letter. Every single aspect of the teaching was literally followed to that letter. That's what they were so, they would say, oh, that's so great that you're following everything to the letter. You don't have critical thinking skills and you're doing exactly what the convicted felon said.
You can have a better life, they say, by following L. Ron Hubbard. Or maybe
I mean, again, the pitch of these adults having better lives never gets old because they all tell you how much they profited, how much they gained, how much they won from playing this disgusting adult game. But for the 10 billion time, the kids never had that advantage to consent to the sick game that the adults were all about.
not. L. Ron Hubbard's son, Scientology's researcher, and other church officials have left the church, and now for the first time they are publicly saying that Hubbard is a liar and the church's main interest is money. From the beginning,
Hubbard is a liar and the cult's interest is money. Definitely tracks. Definitely, this was put on the public record long ago. Definitely, this does not support the delusion that the people at the IRS have that a convicted felon was the one that really was on a mission to save a world through a 501c nonprofit sham organization that they have propped up for themselves. Got it.
this was a fraud. Right, correct. This man is L. Ron Hubbard Jr., son of...
He knew it was a fraud. Right, correct. So for all those who are wondering, well, maybe L. Ron Hubbard was so deluded that he didn't know he was committing fraud. He knew he was committing fraud, you guys. L. Ron Hubbard was perfectly aware.
The founder of Scientology. He left the church in 1959. He's kept in contact with church members, but out of fear for himself and his family, he has kept silent. Now he feels he has to warn people. Your father never meant to help people to start a religion. He didn't believe it. He was just out to make money.
Yeah, he meant to start a religion for self-aggrandizement, for money, for power.
Money and power.
And he got that in great doses, both of them.
He meant to start a religion for money and power, and he got that in great dosages. Again, a predator of this caliber does not operate alone. He had an entire army of devoted sycophants enabling his disgusting, twisted agenda.
Hubbard Jr. was there from the beginning when his father founded Scientology. He was second in command for 10 years. From the beginning, you were cheating people. You were telling them this is a religion, we're going to help you, but the real purpose was to make money.
Correct.
How much money?
Well,
From the beginning, they were cheating people. L. Ron Hubbard Jr. was there next to the father as they were coming up with a caca Mimi cult that they knew they were just pulling everything out of their you-know-what.
I knew up to 1959 when I left the organization, he was worth only $20 or $30 million personally. But I've seen figures recently as much as $250 million.
The church denied.
$250 million back in those days. Just so you guys can really start tracking just how much money was given to this operation. Just how much money this operation laundered, because the criminal felonies that were admitted through those audits have been the constant. That's what has never changed in all these years and all these decades and all these times, that no matter if L. Ron Hubbard dies, no matter if Debbie Cook is paid off and bought off, no matter if Mike Rinder cannot stop lying his ass off, no matter any of that, the one thing you can still count on is felonies being laundered right now as we speak.
That Hubbard Sr. profited personally, but does admit the church is well off. Some of the money was raised through people like Andrea Schwartz. She enrolled students in Scientology courses.
I would outline a program that pretty closely matched his savings account or matched what he could buy, by getting a loan or whatever.
And people would buy.
Oh, look, the Chase wave, you guys, the Chase wave. All the illegal credit card charges being put on credit cards that they could then find the Scientologists defaulting on until Chase got really pressed that this was being done to them. They got really incensed that this was being done to them. Never mind what Chase was funding. Never mind. Never mind that the Chase Bank executives that gave how much money to the Scientologists to go and launder their felonies at a hotel, to have underage kids audit said adults. Never mind that part, right, Chase Bank executives? Because you don't give an F about that. You just gave an F that, these people were being put to pay all these packages. Whereas she said, I tailor-made the package so they would really be buying the whole thing.
Borrow money to take your course.
Honey, people would sell their houses. They'd lie to their parents. They'd do just about anything they could.
Honey, sounds like you were selling drugs. Honey, sounds like the habits of a drug user. Lie to their parents, sell their house, go completely out of their mind. Honey, it's giving that.
I would have died for L Ron Hubbard. If I had gotten an order, this is what we need to do to make planet Earth a better place, I would have done it.
She would have died for L Ron Hubbard. So when we say these people are extremists, we're not being hyperbolic, are we? When we say these people would die for L Ron Hubbard, if that would have really meant to clear a planet and save a world, they were willing to go there. That's how unhinged they are. That's how crazy. That's how out of their mind. They're full-blown extremist. How is she different from a Charles Manson follower?
But what do you find when you look carefully at Mr. Hubbard? Jerry Armstrong was so close to Hubbard, the church appointed him researcher for Hubbard's biography. He assembled thousands of documents on Hubbard, but when he read them,
L. Ron Hubbard became a lie.
in Scientology's text, Hubbard claims he miraculously cured himself
L Ron Hubbard was a lie. Pathological liar. He didn't become it. He was always that.
of combat wounds.
He was never wounded. He was never crippled. He was never blinded. He did spend some time under medical care for ulcers. 99% of what my father has written and said about himself is totally untrue. He's
Again, by his own son, you guys. 99% of what his father said was untrue, says L Ron Hubbard Jr.
Made it up.
that's right.
All made up.
Profits from the bestseller went not to religion, says his son, but to the importing of drugs.
He furnished the money. I went along to guard the money. Through mafia friends of his, we imported cocaine and heroin through Colombia.
Who knew that L Ron Hubbard was importing cocaine and heroin through Colombia through mafia connections they had? Who was aware of L Ron Hubbard, the cocaine, heroin, Colombia mafioso trafficker? Who knew?
I went along to guard the money. Through
Seller went not to religion, says his son, but to the importing of drugs.
who furnished the money, I went around.
So the New York Times, who called L Ron Hubbard a bestseller, is totally okay with the fact that all the profits of the so-called bestseller, the so-called man who said 7-year-old little girls can get kissed and blame it on the little girl, then all of that was spent trafficking drugs. That's what L Ron Hubbard Jr. is literally saying here, you guys.
I went along to guard the money. Through mafia friends of his, we imported cocaine and heroin through Colombia.
People were giving you money to get happiness, religion, some learning, and you were going to Mexico and Colombia with your father to buy drugs, marijuana, and cocaine.
Correct.
Then in England,
Correct. So they were funding some sort of cocaine, heroin cartel back in the day. Isn't that great, you guys? That L Ron Hubbard, we're now finding out what's a cocaine trafficker on top of being a child trafficker, a heroin trafficker, going to Mexico and going to Colombia with mafia friends Really sink that in. This is L Ron Hubbard Jr. that's saying this about his father, that his father was a cocaine trafficker. L Ron Hubbard, the American bred god that the IRS is still subsidizing as we speak. Hello, see, exactly. No more kids in Scientology. Kids cannot consent.
Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and the United States. Government agencies started investigating Hubbard and the church. Hubbard, however, never had to answer any questions.
See, you guys, Hubbard was always protected by his sycophants, never answered questions.
Because he moved Scientology's headquarters to this ship. And for 5 years, he ran the church from the ship.
All he had to do was, as a convicted felon on the run, go to a ship.
You were on the boat with him for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
You got married on the boat.
Right. He gave away my wife.
He was the surrogate father of the bride.
Exactly.
Surrogate father of the bride. As these people sit here and try to cutesify the type of racketeering drug enterprise they were running. This man, Gary Armstrong, that's gone, oh my God, I'm really going to tell you everything. I'm really going to save our world. He still never saved a shred of child. How about that? He still was there, literally doing the criminal activity right next to L Ron Hubbard.
Several church officials who were on the boat now say Hubbard used the boat to store millions of dollars.
You would see it, help process it?
I helped clear it through customs.
Millions of dollars.
Millions in briefcases.
Millions of dollars worth of drug money trafficked that this man helped clear. But again, this is an American bred God, right, guys? Again, L Ron Hubbard was on a mission to save a world, and so are all his sycophants, right or wrong?
Armstrong says in 1973, Hubbard went ashore to hide. And these pictures were taken of him in Queens, New York.
And the reason he fled the ship was because of a French fraud case. He grew his hair long as part of a disguise, and whenever he went out in public, he wore a little hat. And
look at that pathetic, disgusting, degenerate, convicted felon on the run with his disgusting hat, looking like the total disgusting child abuse normalizer that he is. Look at him. That was L Ron Hubbard on the run from the authorities, you guys. So for all of you that are saying, well, Serge, why do you always call him a convicted felon? Because he is. He was convicted of fraud in France, and he was running away from that and hiding all the way in Queens by growing his hair and by putting his stupid hat like that and pretending that, you know, he was on a mission to really save our world as he was running from the authorities. And as we know, trafficking cocaine and heroin on top of everything else. On top of all the kids, he was also aided and abetted in trafficking by all his corrupt, disgusting sycophants that had no scruples, no common sense, nothing, just loyalty to this man. As this woman just told us just a bit ago, because if you're just joining the chat, we just covered the girl that said that she would have died for L Ron Hubbard if he told her that I was going to make her save a world. So that's the level of extremists that they're cultivating inside of those disgusting hotels.
glasses.
At the same time,
Look at him. Disgusting. He's a disgusting, gross, fraud, con man, felon.
he and his church launched an attack on his enemies.
My father's basic policy has always been at least since 1952, is called fair game, which means that anybody that speaks out against Scientology, writes about Scientology, we would do everything in our power to destroy them.
Like what?
Find out every mean, down, dirty thing that they ever did in their life and use it.
So right away, we know it's a blackmail operation. It's like, you know, giving Jeffrey Epstein on steroids. It's giving P. Diddy operation on steroids. It's giving blackmail KGB operation on steroids. That was L. Ron Hubbard's thing that he plagiarized from the Russians, compromat. How do we kneecap people? What do we have? What do we have on them? How can we kneecap them? How can we destroy them by kneecapping them like that? They knew, they were looking for it. They were literally going for it in a full-blown racketeering criminal conspiracy.
Against them.
It's an intelligence operation.
An intelligence operation, gathering information on.
It's a stupidity operation. But yes, Scientology is an intelligence operation, you guys. They're bringing people to a hotel. They're sitting down the people at the hotel. They're asking the people at the hotel if they've ever committed a felony for which they have not been arrested. And then they sell them a package. And then they get them a tax write-off. And then they monetize. And then Uncle Sam incentivizes the self-admitted felons. That's the pipeline.
On whom?
On anyone who would oppose L Ron Hubbard in his dream.
Oh, L Ron Hubbard had a dream, you guys, that he would be fed all the kids that the Scientology parents were feeding him. That he would allow all kids to be treated as adults. That was L Ron Hubbard's little dream. And he really went after people that, weren't aligning with that piece of delusional, disgusting, unthinkable, indefensible level of behavior. Imagine that those are the enemy. So Scientology parents project that the kids are the ones with the problem. Meanwhile, they're the traffickers and the complete and utter paid sycophants of a convicted felon. So for everyone that wants to say the parents had no clue, they were literally paying to have a clue.
The Scientologists had many techniques for harassing their enemies. In the late 1970s, they broke into the IRS and Justice Department to steal documents. 9 Scientology officers, including L Ron Hubbard's wife, Mary Sue.
Convicted felon Mary Sue. Criminal co-conspirator of L Ron Hubbard, Mary motherfucking disgusting Sue. Here she is in her full glasses, in her full hair all over the place, being the sick, disgusting woman she was. Whatever crazy, disgusting thing came out of L Ron Hubbard, she was there doing it. Like the other woman said, they were throwing themselves for this disgusting convicted felon. Oh yeah, Mary Sue, go and steal some stuff. I'll be right back, LRHE. I will gonna write you a little compliance report with all my evidence of all the crimes that I committed, because of course no one's gonna get all this evidence we've been keeping on ourselves inside of the hotel, right? Right or wrong?
Were convicted for that break-in. Documents the FBI found in the church's Los Angeles office suggested other ways to harass an enemy.
Shout out to the FBI. Shout out to the FBI that did find a bunch of documents, right? They didn't even know what type of documents they were about to find out. Imagine the idiots at the FBI that have already obtained subpoena powers to pry open the files. And anytime they had an access to the files, what was coming out of those files? Imagine they have all the files of the children and the FBI does not give a literal fuck.
Order hundreds of dollars worth of liquor in his name and have it delivered to his home to cause him trouble. Wake him up every night, phone and threatening him. Poison him while he's asleep.
Poison him while he is asleep. These are fair game tactics. These are criminal, racketeering, mafioso things that they have just put in another filing cabinet. And then the FBI was told, oh yeah, the Guardian's office really shut down FBI. Nothing to look here. We're still on a mission to save our world. We really hired, amazing Mike Rinder, up and coming, that really wants to, rebranded, Mike Rinder, idiotic, stupid ass Mike Rinder goes, oh, it's just to call the Guardian's office. Let's call it the Office of Special Affairs, because that's going to sound great. That's going to sound wonderful. And that's really going to convince people that we're on a mission to save our world. Meanwhile, Office of Special Affairs is really Office of Highly Illegal Racketeering Affairs. So put that on your notes for the people that have no idea what OSI is, but we've been pitched by Mike Winder that they were just like the intelligence arm of the. Stop with your bullshit. They were the ones that mastermind the racketeering. Stop with your bullshit already. With your infantile, oh, we were just thought we were saving our world, you guys. I mean, we really did get caught by the FBI in the biggest stint of racketeering anybody has ever heard of, infiltrating the government. But never mind, the FBI, it's like, no, the kids there must really want to save our world and become full-blown slaves, right, FBI? Because kids can consent to be slaves. Right, FBI? Yes or no?
So he'll never start another attack.
Are these the policies of a church? The church provided 2 spokesmen.
Are these the policies of a church? I mean, how stupid is this corporate media? Playing dumb, playing like they're outside the hotel. Oh, we couldn't be more unbiased, you guys. Let's really give the opportunity to Heber disgusting child trafficking gents that everybody wants to go save because, oh, poor Heber, he ended up at the hole. Oh, let's all cry for Heber.
Church lawyer Harvey Silverglate and Scientology International President Reverend Heber Jens.
Reverend my ass. Disgusting, degenerate Heber Jens that was in there lying his ass off as his own child was being essayed at the Florida hotels, at the Quality Inn motel, to be very exact and precise, by a grown woman that was sent across state lines by Debbie Cook to California. Once they all found out that, yes, the 12-year-old of Heber Jens, that he's supposed to be a reverend, that he's supposed to be a this and a that, was being essayed as a 12-year-old. And everybody at the hotel found out. It was announced. It was said at a staff meeting. It was a flap. There was a handling. Don't you worry about it. We really did move Marie, what was her name? Marie, it'll come to me, the last name. But Marie, I remember her name was Marie. And she was sent across to California to do the RPF there. Well, all the Scientology executives found out about this. And don't worry about it. Heber Jens' son was made a toilet cleaner of the student toilets. That's what he did. That's what he did.
The church does not believe in that kind of a policy and has never held that kind of a policy. You're bound to have a few people who do not agree to the moral principles of the church,
Who totally on their own go out and break into people's offices.
On the other hand, what you're missing is that millions and millions of people follow the moral precepts, apply those, and have brought a tremendous amount of happiness to their own lives.
Oh, yeah, they're really applying a lot of things, you guys. According to Heber Jens, they're applying so much happiness. And the very top people that were committing the criminal acts, oh, they were really rogue. They were really unhinged. They were really this. They were really that. They were all coordinating thereby and therewith, including Heber Jens, who was a co-conspirator of the racketeering. He didn't get caught on because he was really good at running his mouth, lying through his teeth, and, ensuring that his kid got essay at Debbie Cook's hotels and not give an F about it.
Made it clear after the break-ins that this was not church policy. At some point, did you make it extra clear to everybody, hey, we don't break in?
Correct.
I mean, how stupid is the media? Oh, did you make it clear? Oh, we don't break in, you guys. And this liar, complete and utter pathetic, disgusting simp of L Ron Hubbard, goes, oh yeah, we told everyone. We sent out a memo. We CC'd everybody. We're so good at writing CCs and writing everything report. You guys, even though we have been criminally instructing everyone to go into the IRS office, the Department of Justice, even though all of that, even though we put it in writing, even though we CC'd everybody, even though we put it all in the files, even though we have exact things that the FBI already has the possession of, there's still the corporate media letting him sanitize the image of Scientology. ABC News is in charge of them having their image sanitized on every single literal thing that goes back to how many decades ago, and ABC News is there sanitizing this shit, not able to investigate on their own.
They've said that since about 5 minutes after my father created the policy. in 1950.
The church says L Ron Jr. is a liar and even signed an affidavit admitting it.
And there is a lawyer right there, you guys. So for all of you that are going, oh, the lawyers must not know anything, the lawyers have been paid to be the simps and the sycophants of these executive degenerates that are just paying their bill. And that's all it took to have them at their fingertips, because the lawyers have never reined back their client, have never understood who their client is, have never done the due diligence on their client, have never read the policies of the disgusting L Ron Hubbard convicted felon for fraud on the run. Nothing has ever raised any concern or red flags to these Scientology attorneys, who, come to find out, are also mandated reporters, attorneys. Imagine that. Imagine attorneys that are mandated reporters that are covering up in full knowing of the law every single felony that gets admitted at this hotel.
He admits that he's lied about the church and he's lied in depositions, etc., and he wants to make a clean breast of it.
So now they're saying that L Ron Hubbard's son is the liar.
L Ron Jr. says he's no liar. He signed that statement, he says, only because the Scientologist threatened his family.
Yes, you guys, Scientology always had you write affidavits that would go against your best interest. They had children, the ones that wanted to, themselves. Scientology would go, oh, come here. Since you didn't succeed in really going like this to yourself as a 14-year-old, let's have you write an affidavit that you did this to yourself, that Scientology never had a problem, that Scientology was so great and wonderful. Those are the type of affidavits that kids are being told to sign by Debbie Cook.
What advice?
These Scientologists say they were instructed to harass the church's current enemies, like attorney Mike Flynn.
See, you guys, it's all been a harassment campaign. They've been, now we know L Ron Hubbard is cocaine and heroin trafficker, on top of being a convicted felon on the run, on top of being a weirdo growing his hair out and hiding out in Queens with his sycophant followers, helping him evade capture. We're still supposed to go, yeah, but everybody wanted to save a world inside of these hotels. I don't think so. So those are the facts. That's what needs to be confronted. And there's so much that needs to be outed and exposed. And we'll be right back with more. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.